The WWF, what the world is watching. Turn it on and rip the knob off.
And welcome back to the Wrestling Memory Grenade, now at episode 192, as we kick off April TV for 1989 in the World Wrestling Federation. I am your host, Ray Russell, and man, WrestleMania V now behind us and so much to look forward to for the remainder of 1989. While the WWF never had an off season, it is the new season here for the World Wrestling Federation. Of course, we've had to say goodbye to some talent recently released, but new talent headed in, gimmick changes are happening, new managers, new storylines, new angles, setting up future house show matches, and beyond. Lots of great stuff to get into here this week as we cover the first 2 weeks of April TV for 1989 in the World Wrestling Federation. And right now we go back in time. We head back to the April 8th, 1989 edition of the WWF's Superstars of Wrestling. All right, and away we go with WWF Superstars, April 8th, 1989, tape back March 7th, pre-WrestleMania, El Paso, Texas, at the Convention Center. Vince McMahon, Jesse Ventura on the call, and as we kick off the program this week, straight into main event highlights from WrestleMania V, the Mega Powers explode. You heard me right, not video stills, but actual video highlights. Holy shit. They show the actual finish, the leg drop, the pinfall, and everything in between. As part of that main event, Hulk Hogan, once again, your new WWF champion. But they air this, several segments of the match, including the finish, a week later on free TV. And if I remember correctly, one of the earliest episodes of the Something to Wrestle podcast with Bruce Pritchard, he mentioned something about this particular episode, stating that there was a mistake made. And this was not the original plan. I'm not sure who in production did this. I'm not sure if it was Bruce. I'm not sure who it was, but I know Vince McMahon was not happy when he saw that the footage of the actual match was airing on free TV just a week later, giving away the main event of WrestleMania on syndicated television. Unbelievable. Nevertheless, though, the Hulkster, once again, the reigning WWF champion, as we go backstage to post-Mania 5 footage. This happened supposedly directly after the matchup between the Macho Man and Hulk Hogan at Trump Plaza. Backstage, Mean Gene Okerlund trying to interview Miss Elizabeth. Gene presuming this had to be one of the most difficult moments in Liz's life, staying neutral and watching Hulk Hogan dethrone the Macho Man. Enter Sensational Sherri into the mix here. She has something to say, gloating at the fact that the Mega Powers exploded in Liz's face. But in Sherri's opinion, the best man did not win the match. Enter Randy Savage. Sherri going to exit the scene for now. Savage now confronting Miss Elizabeth, referring to her now as Miss Elizabeth for the very first time in history. Miss Elizabeth stating she was the lone reason that he is no longer the champ, repeatedly referring to her as Miss Liz here, disassociating himself from her, formalizing her name. Very good stuff here by the WWF and Savage. As Liz distracted the Macho Man, and he is irate, blaming Miss Elizabeth, the distraction out there, with a finger in her face, lifting her chin, getting a little physical, grabbing hold of her arm. Okay, getting a lot physical, driving Elizabeth down to her knees here in this promo. You're hurting? No, I'm hurting. Randy Savage, hurting, no longer the champion, says he's going to end this right now. Make sure her pretty face never causes him trouble again. And as the not-so Macho Man cocks back, looking like he's about to clock Elizabeth across the face, Mean Gene kneeling down, simply holding the microphone. What the fuck, Gene? Come on, man. Be a man. Get in there. Do something about it. Mean Gene, in the middle of all this, witnessing this going down, and all he can do is stick the microphone in Liz's face. Want to know what Liz felt like when she got clocked in the face by the Macho Man? Ha! Call the hotline. Unbelievable. Savage begins to cock that hand back, begins to swing towards the face of the lovely Liz, but his fist is intercepted by none other than the new WWF champion, Hulk Hogan. The Hulkster shoving Savage off, checking down on Elizabeth. It looks like Savage leaves, but only for a moment. From behind returns the Sensational Sherri, who grabs Hogan by what's left of the back of his hair. And as Savage returns, he smashes a steel chair across the chest of Hogan. Oof, what a shot. Great smack of the chair across the chest of the Hulkster. Down goes Hogan, Mean Gene selling it like only he can. Ha! Ha! The travesty. Savage slamming down the title belt, trying to destroy the belt before the Hulkster quickly recovering here, in miraculous time, I should mention. Running off the Macho Man, Hogan shouting, "I'm gonna get you, Macho Man. I'm gonna get you." Man, if that was the total of Hogan's acting ability, No Holds Barred is in trouble. Seriously though, fun segment, distancing the Macho Man from Miss Elizabeth, Hulk Hogan vowing revenge to continue the story between the mega powers here coming out of WrestleMania, and the interesting part, that Sensational Sherri played in this all. Coincidence? We'll have to wait and see. What a way to kick off the show. Not only do we get video clips, highlights of the main event from WrestleMania V, but an angle that was filmed, shot directly afterwards, aired here the following week on TV. It appears that the new champ Hulk Hogan is not finished with the Macho Man. Randy Savage are looking to splatter Liz across the wall there of the WrestleMania V backdrop. Hulk Hogan in there to make the save. Mean Gene doing nothing about it. And again, what does Sensational Sherri have to do with all of this? We won't have to wait long to find out. But for right now, we're going to go to the ring, kicking things off this week with Tito Santana. Arriba! Taking on Jose Estrada. Now we get an insert promo here from Tito's former partner, Rick Martel. Of course, Strikeforce no more. They disband at WrestleMania. Martel again referring to Tito as a loser. And it is Rick Martel who is the real force behind Strikeforce. No doubt about that. Vince openly admitting here on commentary that the reuniting of Strikeforce was indeed all Tito's idea. I knew it. Vince arguing, though, that that's not how you conduct business, turning on your partner in the middle of a match, pointing out Ventura had a partner for years. And Jesse didn't like him either, but they still worked together as a team. I'm assuming Vince referencing Adrian Adonis there. So Jesse was able to make it work, but that is not Rick Martel's end game. Strikeforce split up, no doubt some matches between those two on the horizon. Meanwhile, in the ring, Tito Santana does a really weird spot early on. Estrada dropping down as Tito's coming off the ropes. Santana running the ropes, jumping over Estrada, doing his own drop down. So now both men are laying there side by side in drop down positions until Tito realizes how stupid this looks. And then he goes back to working the arm like only Tito Santana can. Tito in control of the match much of the way. Jose leapfrogging a Santana charge off the ropes, but turns right around into that patented flying forearm. Going to put Estrada down. Match goes 3 minutes and 5 seconds, and this very well may be Estrada's final match here in the company. The sad departure of the Conquistadors. However, we welcome a newcomer, well, not exactly, but a new gimmick here in the World Wrestling Federation. It appears to be the return of Lanny Poffo and the debut of the Genius.
I am the genius, Lanny Poffo. That means an awful lot. Not only can I prove I am, but you can't prove I'm not. I speak 11 languages. Escuchen, por favor. Santana comes from Mexico. Yo hablo más mejor. The French I speak is magnifique. They told me in Paris. My Italian's molto bene. I learned when I was 3. I speak Latin, Greek, and Russian, Hebrew, and Portuguese. I speak Swedish and Norwegian, and I'm learning Japanese. Aside from my intelligence, I'm cunning as a rat, and I shall put these attributes to use upon the mat. I remind the competition and every wrestling fan, behold, the genius Lanny Poffo, the world's smartest man.
I am the genius Lanny Poffo. That means an awful lot. Not only can I prove I am, but you can't prove I'm not. I speak 11 languages. Escuchen, por favor. Santana comes from Mexico. Yo habla más mejor. The French I speak is magnifique. They taught me in Paris. My Italian's molto bene. I learned when I was 3. I speak Latin, Greek, and Russian, Hebrew, and Portuguese. I speak Swedish and Norwegian, and I'm learning Japanese. Aside from my intelligence, I'm cunning as a rat, and I shall put these attributes to use upon the mat. I remind the competition and every wrestling fan, behold the genius Lanny Poffo, the world's smartest man. The genius, making Vince nauseous there on commentary, but Jesse loves the new spark. And once leaping Lanny Poffo no more, he is now the genius, and all is right in the world, according to Ray Russell. Anyway, I love the fact that the genius has arrived. I can't wait to follow his career moving forward here in 1989. What a tremendous poem. What a great look. The cap and gown. Of course, he took that from his father, Angelo, who used that in the tag team many moons ago, doing a genius gimmick here. The poet laureate, now simply a wrestling laureate. Hey, I might have to use that. The genius with a new beard, longer hair, and of course, a new look on life. And Jesse Ventura digging that spark, that new edge to Lanny Poffo, the genius. As we go back to the ring tag team action, going to see the Brainbusters, Arn Anderson, Tully Blanchard, Bobby Heenan in their corner, taking on Scott Casey and Omar Atlas. As we get an insert promo from the Bushwhackers, who say the Brainbusters state that they're the best. They're a machine. Well, let's see what happens when they go through the Bushwhacker thrashing machine. Yay! My goodness, am I to read that Luke and Butch are coming after Arn and Tully? Would have been interesting, heels versus heels in the NWA. Here in the WWF, not so much. However, in the ring, Scott Casey not able to get very far with Arn Anderson, so he tags out to Omar Atlas. Now, Atlas in, but immediately winds up in the heel corner, and they keep him there for the duration. Now, much like we saw at WrestleMania V in the Tito Santana matchup, Arn going to grab Tully from the apron to block a monkey flip from Omar. And the Brainbuster's going to lure Scott Casey in, distract the referee long enough for the spike pile driver of death. Man, did they come down on Omar Atlas in a nasty way here. Spike pile driver getting the Duke, 3 minutes and 7 seconds. Fun seeing a couple of Southwest guys, Tully and Scott Casey, run into each other here heading into the 1990s. But Casey, another guy finishing up with the WWF here at these TV tapings, he will be here no longer. And even with the Twin Towers looking like the current #1 contenders, they pushed the Busters hard here on commentary as destined to receive future title shots with Demolition. As we continue on with the program, we get a clip after helping Rick Rude defeat the Ultimate Warrior for the Intercontinental title at WrestleMania. We see Bobby Heenan tripping up the Warrior, holding the foot down. Rick Rude winning the gold. We also see the Ultimate Warrior getting a little bit of revenge when he splatters Bobby Heenan across the mat with a gorilla press drop that, according to the Brain himself, caused some rib injuries. Leave it to the Warrior Man, who is no longer the Intercontinental Champion. Rick Rude, your brand new IC title holder. Can't wait to see what happens with that in the weeks to come. As we go back to the ring, though, it is Bad News Brown taking on Frankie Valdez, and holy shit, Valdez tries to attack Bad News. That's new. Bad News stops at the end of the aisle, turns around to talk with the fans, a little chatter there, and Valdez attacking Brown from behind. Great plan of attack. He wasn't waiting for Brown to do the attacking, but it doesn't work on the Harlem Street Fighter. Brown no-selling, immediately taking over there on the floor. Then once back in the ring, total beatdown. Nice, stiff ghetto blaster lands this week on Valdez. Little foot on the chest. Going to get the 1, 2, 3. Bad News Brown going over 2 minutes, 11 seconds. And for his troubles, a little post-match slapping around of one Frankie Valdez. Add a little insult to injury there. Bad News Brown picking up another win coming out of WrestleMania. And mercifully, no mention of Hacksaw Jim Duggan during this one. So it appears both men will move on from their bout at the pay-per-view. Curious to see what the Harlem Street Fighter does next as we roll off right now to Sean Mooney in the Event Center. And we hear from the brand new WWF champion. Here he is, Hulk Hogan.
And we are back. There is a new World Wrestling Federation champion here in the World Wrestling Federation. Hulk Hogan, he did exactly what he said he was going to do at WrestleMania V. In a victory over the former title holder, the Macho Man Randy Savage, Hulk Hogan regained the World Wrestling Federation Championship. And right now, the new champion is standing by. Let's hear from the Hulkster.
Well, the first thing I want to do, Macho Man, is thank you personally for confirming everything I said about you, man. You proved your true colors at WrestleMania V. You proved to all my Hulkamaniacs that you just couldn't live up to the type of man we wanted you to be, brother. All the shortcuts, man. All the jealousy, because the mania is more powerful than the madness and the lust in your eyes, brother. Because I'm the better man. You proved your true colors, man. And as I headed out of the ring with the WWF Championship, all of my Hulkamaniacs on my side, thank God I got to the back room in time, man. I got there just as you were starting to manhandle my manager. As you had her bent down, twisting her arm. Oh yeah, you're a big man. As she was screaming out in pain, I was there for the save. The cheap shot, Macho Man, what you tried to do to me, that just doesn't matter anymore. Because now, I know exactly where you're coming from, Macho Man. You're a greedy man, brother. You want the WWF Championship so bad, you'd do anything for it. And I'm gonna use the belt as bait, brother. I'm gonna set you up and take you out, man. Wherever I go, whatever contract I get a chance to sign, I'm gonna put the WWF Championship on the line, just hoping that I can get your name on the other side, brother. Because once I get the belt right where I want it, right between you and me, the whole issue is gonna be real personal, man. You talk about hurting, you talk about the pain that you felt when Elizabeth double-crossed you. It's not true. You're the one that double-crossed yourself, and the pain is just now starting, Macho Man. This thing is so personal with me, man. I won't rest one single night until I completely destroy the madness. What are you gonna do when the largest arms in the world and Hulkamania completely destroy you?
All right, well, all is right in the world again, according to the Hulk anyway, and his Hulksters, his Hulkamaniacs, no doubt. Hulk Hogan on top again, wearing the belt there, the Winged Eagle, taking on all comers, and most certainly coming back after the Macho Man. As we roll off quickly to a short vignette here from the $1 Million Man, Ted DiBiase, gloating about being on the cover of the latest edition of the WWF magazine, and I don't even think he bought it this time. DiBiase flaunting his new $1 Million belt as well on the cover, as Ted tells us to go out and purchase a copy now before he sends Virgil out to buy them all. $1 Million Man, $1 Million belt. Heading into the spring here of 1989, we go back to the ring. Brutus the Barber Beefcake battling Steve Stone. And Stone with some sucker punches early on mixed in between the Barber's offense, but Beefer looking for one of his high knees, but somehow the Barber forgets to jump. So it winds up just being just a knee. Wow. When you forget how to do your own signature moves, yikes. Anywho, it is the sleeper hold, putting Steve Stone down 2 minutes, 25 seconds, and a post-match haircut here for Mr. Stone. There you go, Brudai. Stick to what you know. And much like the Bad News match, no real mention here of Ted DiBiase and the Barber coming out of WrestleMania, so that also appears to be a one-off. Perhaps other plans in place for the Barber. I dare say even bigger plans. And in between the next segment, we get a promo for the upcoming movie theater release of No Holds Barred, featuring Rip 'Em, Hulk Hogan, in his first Hollywood movie as the lead actor, the Hulkster, coming to a theater near you June 2nd. Check your local listings there in the newspapers or whatever you had to do back in 89. Forget how that works. As we go back now, we're not going to the ring. We're going to go off to the Brother Love show with his guest this week, the Doctor of Style Slick, and his twin towers, the Big Boss Man and Akeem. Love introducing the Towers as the future tag team champions, yes. As Jive Soul Bro going to play the team in menacing. Even though Akeem's dancing, they just look dangerous here. Slick referring to his tandem as the most awesome team ever assembled in wrestling history. The Big Boss Man says they cuffed them all and they beat them all. As Akeem reminds us that people pick pockets, people pick apples, but the Twin Towers, they pick the tag team titles. And they're going to be doing that right off the waists of Axe and Smash Demolition. Very quick, generic promo here, but they make their interest clear. The demos and the tag team titles. Being on Brother Love makes it just a little more serious than just an insert promo. Looking forward to seeing some of these matches here between Demolition and the Monsters, the Twin Towers. As we continue on with the program, highlights of yet another WrestleMania headliner, talking about Andre the Giant versus Jake the Snake Roberts. Big John Studd, remember, the special referee. Now, the finish of the match, for those who missed it, a disqualification. A win for Jake after Andre attacking referee John Studd in the ring. Also, Ted DiBiase attempting to steal Damien from ringside. That was a no-go. Jake able to get Damien back, clear the ring of the eighth wonder of the world. But now Big John Studd has a bone to pick with Andre the Giant.
Fee, fi, fo, fum, Andre the Giant. When we met in WrestleMania V in the center of the ring and our eyes locked, the whole world could see that Big John Studd is every bit of a giant as you are. And when I looked in your eyes, Andre, I saw you flicker. I saw you start to flinch. I saw you feel that the legend of Andre the Giant is threatened. And when I turned my back and you grabbed me and you choked me down, that told me what kind of giant you are. That told me you're a giant with a real big yellow streak running down the center of your back. And when we meet, Andre, and we will meet in the center of the ring, I will pick you up, all 500 pounds of you, and slam you to the center of the ring, Andre. And then I'll cover you, and it will be 1, 2, 3, and that's the end of the legend of Andre the Giant.
Terrible. Just everything he does or doesn't do, just terrible. How many times did he say Andre in that promo? I lost count. I forgot who he was talking about. Andre. I'm sure Vince was happy. Pronouns, pal. Making it very clear, John Studd coming for Andre the Giant says WrestleMania 5, the whole world saw him stand eye to eye with Andre. He's just as big of a giant as Andre is. Boy, I bet Andre did love that. Andre felt threatened of Big John Studd, so he choked John out from behind during the matchup. Andre clearly has a giant yellow streak down his back, but John Studd plans to pick up the 500-pound eighth wonder of the world and slam him down to the mat for a 1, 2, 3. Well, get ready, folks. It's a-coming. And we get another plug for the WWF magazine, this time featuring pictures from No Holds Barred. Jesse Ventura still very upset here on commentary that Hulk Hogan is invading his territory, invading Hollywood. Won't argue with you there, Jess. We've got one more match this week on Superstars featuring The Barbarian with Mr. Fuji in his corner. One of the Powers of Pain, rolling solo. Barb's opponent, Ricky Ataki, as we get an insert promo from Jim the Anvil Neidhart, okay, who hopes that the Barbarian can absorb the pain as well as he instills it. Of course, only with less eloquent verbiage there, but yeah, baby. The Anvil apparently coming for the Barbarian. And in the ring, it is Barb in action. Big flying shoulder tackle running off the ropes, followed by that Barbarian boot. Sends Ataki over the top rope all the way out to the floor. What momentum from the Barbarian boot. Ataki back inside, though. And the Barbarian landing that awesome clothesline off the top rope, goes sailing across the ring, taking Ataki down. Quick win here for the Barbarian, 1 minute and 37 seconds. Wow. He looked so much better here without the Warlord in his corner. Very impressive was the Barbarian. Honestly, how do you see this guy right now and not give him some kind of a push? In singles, I mean. So for the moment being, it sounds like the Hart Foundation once again split apart. Also, the Powers of Pain going to get some solo runs here in 89. We'll see how that plays out for everyone involved. Looks like a lot of new house show feuds coming out of WrestleMania as well. It's nice to have acknowledgement of the arena matches on TV. It makes them feel more meaningful for me, the fan. Like, if I hear somebody talking about their opponent, it gives just a little more build to the match, a little more meaning behind it when I'm there, sitting there, say at the Richfield Coliseum, watching these two go at it. And so the Barbarian looking like he's going to be stepping in the ring with the Anvil. As we close out this week's edition of Superstars, we continue on to Wrestling Challenge, April 9th, 1989. All right, it is Challenge for April the 9th, tape back March 8th, Odessa, Texas, at the old Odessa County Coliseum. Bobby Heenan, Gorilla Monsoon on commentary here. And once again, we get a replay of the WrestleMania V main event segment and the angle that took place backstage involving Miss Elizabeth, Sherri, the Macho Man, and Hulk. So it's across the board. We've seen it now on both editions of WWF television on syndicated TV for the weekend. No doubt going to play on every piece of WWF TV over the next week as well. Big storyline unfolding out of all of that. But right now we go to the ring here on Challenge, kicking things off with the Red Rooster. Terry Taylor taking on Barry Horowitz as the Brooklyn Brawler cuts an insert promo. Only the Red Rooster can wrestle Barry Horowitz and get a insert promo from the Brooklyn Brawler. My goodness, poor Terry. Brawler says that the Rooster may have won the battle at WrestleMania, but he started a war. You have no idea the war you started, Red. So the Brooklyn Brawler, unfortunately, not done yet with Mr. Taylor. As Gorilla Monsoon trying to piss off Bobby Heenan here on commentary, reminding the Brain that he lost to the Red Rooster at WrestleMania. But Heenan simply ignoring that, and gloating over the fact that Rick Rude is the Intercontinental Champion. Bobby, looking at the bright side of things, doesn't even sell his loss. Nor does he act like Terry Taylor is even relevant in his world during this matchup. Total burial of Terry Taylor. And I know Bobby wasn't a fan of Terry in real life. He's made that very clear in prior interviews and things. He didn't think he was very much of a talent, didn't care for him as a human. And you can kind of sense that here because Bobby would usually get everybody over if he was involved in the segment or not. And here he just kind of dismisses Terry Taylor and his loss to the Red Rooster. Meanwhile, in the ring, Taylor moving like the Terry Taylor of old. Looking good here. Very solid action. Jawbreaker going to send Barry Horowitz to the floor. Back inside, Red Rooster with a stun gun into the corner buckle. Looking great here is Terry Taylor on the offense. Now Horowitz going to respond with a back suplex and a nice knee lift, but he gives himself a pat on the back here. Barry Horowitz delivering that three-quarter Nelson pinfall, the same move he's going to use to beat Skip in 1995. And there it is, three-quarter Nelson. 1, 2, 3. Horowitz wins. Horowitz wins. Horowitz wins. No, wait. Wrong match. Terry Taylor kick it out at 2 there with the three-quarter Nelson, and the Rooster gonna cluck up, if you will, delivering a Waka Gatami takedown, armbar takedown there to soften Horowitz up for the egads, the flying chicken wing, getting the submission win at 3 minutes and 25 seconds. Your winner, the Red Rooster. As we continue on, a replay from Superstars of Genius vignette number 1. Gotta love it. And back to the ring for Mr. Perfect, Curt Hennig taking on Omar Atlas. We get an insert promo here from the Hitman Bret Hart, who promises to put an end to Kurt's perfect world. Wow, the Hitman and Mr. Perfect in 1989. Sign me up. On commentary here, Gorilla curious if the Brain has made Mr. Perfect an offer. Bobby says there have been some discussions. Well, it's going to take a while, but we will get there about a year or so from now. And I should mention also, Perfect's still in his trunks here, since this was taped prior to WrestleMania. Of course, the pay-per-view, he debuts that neon singlet vibe, but here's still in his black trunks, total dominance, and he delivers that rolling neck snap that he would make famous. Now, Omar going to surprise Hennig here with a launching hip toss, sending Kurt across the ring in a big body slam, scoop slam, sends Perfect down to the mat. But Hennig going to cut him right off with a clothesline, that axe forearm right between the eyes. Down goes Omar Atlas, completely loopy as he stumbles back up into the Perfect Plex. Going to get the win. 2 minutes and 54 seconds. Mr. Perfect looking to take on the Hitman here, coming into the house shows of the spring of 89. I'm looking forward to that. We continue on another replay of WrestleMania V, the Warrior Rude IC title change, and of course Warrior's revenge on Bobby Heenan after the matchup. Something tells me that one is far from over. Then it's back to the ring. Hacksaw Jim Duggan, taking on Steve Sharkey. We get an insert promo here from King Haku, who speaks some Tonganese. Haku going to end that by stating that Duggan will bow to the feet of the king. Now, Haku, that just got you in trouble in court. Remember, we talked about that on the last episode of The Grenade. But old Hacksaw, something tells me he's not going to go down without a fight whenever those two step in the ring. But as far as this matchup, Duggan and Sharkey, whole lot of nothing here. Sharkey standing no chance, no offense. Duggan just slamming him at every turn before the three-point stance and clothesline gets the win. 1 minute and 30 seconds. And super over with the hose this week is Mr. USA Tough Guy Duggan, really getting over the hose long before the Godfather. As we get another vignette here from the $1 Million Man, who says he plans to paper the walls of his Bel Air mansion with the brand new cover of the WWF magazine featuring who else but the $1 Million Man and his $1 Million title belt. Then it's back to the ring for the Canadian strongman Dino Bravo, accompanied by Frenchy Martin, battling Jim Evans. Now, this is kind of interesting. This was actually taped on the Superstars taping, if I remember correctly, but somehow airs on the Wrestling Challenge program. No idea why, except to continue that inexplicable push of Dino Bravo. Got to get him on your TV. Hogan must pose, and we got to get Dino Bravo on our TV screens. Bravo oddly wearing red trunks this week. Hasn't been doing that a lot in recent months. Gorilla Monsoon notices that Frenchy Martin here before the matchup actually speaking Spanish on the microphone, which maybe he already got his pink slip and really didn't give a shit. We do get an insert promo here during this Bravo match from the mighty Hercules. Who is truly the strongest man? Asks the Herc. Let's find out. No, Herc, let's not, and say we did. Anywho, in the ring, Dino Bravo overpowering Evans right away. Now, Evans tries a walk-up headlock takeover out of the corner, but Bravo countering with a nasty folding back suplex. Double underhook suplex from there, kind of a toss there from Dino Bravo, followed by the airplane spin, setting up that side suplex. Going to get the win, 2 minutes and 10 seconds. Dino Bravo going over, and this will mark Frenchy Martin's final TV appearance here as the manager of Dino Bravo. Now, Frenchy's going to pop back up on a couple house shows as a fill-in, doing some jobs later on, even in the year of 1990. But Frenchy is all but gone from the company at this point, as he was Garvin stomped out of the WWF at WrestleMania V. Dino going to have to find himself his third manager in so many years. As we go back now to the event center, Sean Mooney standing by with the likes of Mr. Perfect and Hacksaw Jim Duggan.
And welcome back. There is an individual here in the World Wrestling Federation who claims to be absolutely flawless, never does anything wrong, does everything absolutely perfect. And the thing is, he has lived up to this claim. He is known as Mr. Perfect, and right now he is standing by with comments.
You know, I've got to stand out here and shake my head a little bit and laugh. See, because everybody in the World Wrestling Federation is finally finding out that Mr. Perfect is for real. Everything he says and does, he gets the job done. And it's no doubt to me, and it's no doubt to the wrestling fans and all the magazine people, that when I came to the World Wrestling Federation, I declared 1989 the year of perfection. And it's a shame that each and every one of them wrestlers out there, such as the Ultimate Warrior, Hulk Hogan, Macho Man Randy Savage, and Hitman Bret Hart, they all want a piece of me. They all want to destroy this empire. Well, my friends, you take another look, for this is the year of perfection, and I will be Mr. Perfect when it's all over.
Well, Mr. Perfect with a message for his future opponents out there in the World Wrestling Federation. And you can bet there are a few superstars out there who would love to ruin that perfect record. Right now, standing by is one proud American. He's Hacksaw Jim Duggan.
Hello! Hi, folks. It certainly hasn't been no honeymoon for old Hacksaw Jim Duggan since I've come stomping in to the WWF. Old Andre the Giant had me around the throat till I dropped him. Old Dino Bravo likes to push around a lot of weights till I popped him. And now King Haku, who likes to wear that big old crown and have Bobby the Weasel Heenan whispering in his ear, telling what a big, strong, tough guy. He's looking for me now. Well, like I said from the beginning, old Hacksaw Jim Duggan backs down from no man. I stand on my own 2 feet, and I look you right in the eye, and when they ring the bell, well, you can throw away the rule book, because I got one thing in mind, and that's to beat some people up, tough guy.
Well, comments from Hacksaw Jim Duggan. He has faced some tough competition here in the World Wrestling Federation, including the likes of Andre the Giant, also Canada's strongest man, Dino Bravo, and he also had a very stern warning for the World Wrestling Federation King Haku. He is just like Old Glory. He prevails and keeps on flying. Hacksaw Jim Duggan. We'll be back.
All right, coming out of that, Mr. Perfect, he has the Hitman on his mind, but also that perfect streak continues on. Hacksaw Jim Duggan finishing up his feuds and pointing out some of the talent that he's overcome in recent weeks and months. And King Haku on the way there as we go now to Mean Gene Okerlund up on the stage. Special interview time with Luke and Butch, the Bushwhackers. Now I'll save you guys and not play the soundbite, but Mean Gene has it on good authority that Bobby Heenan has stated the Bushwhackers don't even belong in the same arena as his Brainbusters. And at one point, Butch, forgetting the names of Arn and Tully's team, but catches himself, the Brainbusters, The Whackers promise to put the Busters through their whacking machine. Well, that doesn't sound pretty. Or PC. While Luke promises brain surgery for Bobby Heenan Bushwhackers style. Another live interview to push another of the programs starting up in the house shows, the Bushwhackers and the Brainbusters. Hey man, they're over. Another replay of the Andre Stud angle from WrestleMania, then back to the ring for one more matchup this week. Tag Team Champions, still the Tag Team Champions, Axis Smash Demolition, taking on the Black Knight and Lou Fabiano. As we get an insert promo here from Twin Towers and Slick, who promises his team will be the next Tag Team Champions. In the ring, though, it is Demolish and Destroy on the Masked Knight, who I believe was Billy Anderson. Then it's Fabiano's turn, and the annihilation is inevitable. With a lot of clubbering, baby, Death Roll will be proud. And speaking of the American Dream, on his way to the company down the road as well here at 89. But in the ring, smash with a stun gun before the Demolition decapitation, putting Fabiano away 3 minutes and 15 seconds. Closing out the show this week, Demolition looking big and bad as usual. They put away the Powers of Pain. Looks like the Twin Towers are next on the horizon. So even more house show feuds beginning to take shape with the Demos and Twin Towers, the Bushwhackers and the Brainbusters, Hacksaw and Haku, Dino Bravo and Hercules. I didn't say they were all good. I just said more house show matches beginning to take shape. As we roll off now to the April 10th edition of WWF Primetime Wrestling.
Hello, everyone, and welcome once again to Primetime Wrestling. I'm Gorilla Monsoon, and
I'm your host and manager of the Intercontinental Champion.
So you got to smoke a cigar?
Been celebrating since WrestleMania.
You have, huh? Well, I've got some interesting news for you. Well, first of all, folks, I want to thank Tony Schiavone and Sean Mooney for filling in for us last week. I don't know where you were. I know where I was. I had a good time because you weren't there.
I had a good time because you weren't there.
You did, huh?
I had a better time than you did.
I've got
because
two
I had
big
the champion.
surprises for you this week, Brain. Here's number one right here, and number two will be coming up a little bit later on in the program. Feature this week on Primetime, an interesting one. Mr. Perfect taking on rugged Ronnie Garvin. Yeah, take a good look.
$187.
No, $1,187.32. That's the caviar and Don Perignon that you had charged to my room.
I never charged it to your room. That guy at the hotel there, you mean Whiskers.
Yeah.
He said, "Are you with Mr. Monsoon?" I said, "Yes." He's the one that owes you the money, pal, not me.
I saw the tape, Brain.
I had two Diet Cokes and some wheat thins.
Charge this to the big guy's room, Gorilla Monsoon.
And I said the big guy, I meant Donald.
Yeah.
Not you. I know you don't have that kind of cash.
Once again, you'll either pay that or I'll make a phone call and it will be
no
week
trouble.
by week.
I'm not worried about this because I'm riding high now.
Yeah.
Ravishing Rick
Where's
Rude.
the belt? Why didn't you bring it? We could have displayed it here. Aren't you proud of it?
Do you think
or
I
did you
am?
lose it already?
Think I'm a show-off?
Yes.
No, I'm not. I don't have it. Ravishing Rick Rude will not let it out of his sight.
Right now, folks, we're going to take a look at some highlights from WrestleMania V. The Hulkster taking the strap away from the Macho Man. Can you believe that? A former champion blaming Miss Elizabeth for his defeat.
Well, she was a distraction. She said she was going to be in the neutral corner.
She was in a neutral
Yeah, but
corner.
how does that work in a man's mind? He expects her to be in his corner. No, she's a neutral corner. Is she still managing Hogan? Is she managing him? It's a distraction.
Well, just wait a minute. Before the match even started, everyone knew where she would be.
But no one trusted her. I didn't. I can't believe what she says. Who can believe what she would say?
I don't know what you would say.
Well, I wasn't at ringside. I don't know.
You were at ringside for a number of occasions, and you were inside the ring for a very short period of time.
I knew you'd rub that in. And I'll explain to you why I was in the ring for a very short time. First of all,
You got creamed, that's why.
I didn't get creamed. I went out there with
Slaughtered.
I went out there for my match with King Haku. I managed him. Then I went out and I managed my Brain Busters. Then I went out with
You didn't know
Andre
whether
the
you
Giant.
were coming or going anymore, did
Then
you?
I went out with Ravishing Rick Rude. During that match, the Ultimate Warrior got his hands on me.
Clobbered you.
Yes, he did. He picked me up and dropped me on my side, almost cracked my ribs. I went back to the dressing room. I got my family together. I said, I can't go out for this. They said, no, you better not. You better stay here. I said, no, wait a minute. Rooster will throw this up in my face for the rest of my life.
I would.
Arn Anderson
If you
told me,
didn't, I
even
would've.
Andre said, you're not going out in this. It's over with. You're the Intercontinental Champion.
You're not the
You're
Intercontinental
manager of the
champion.
Intercontinental Champion. I said, no, I owe it to
Well,
my
you sure
fans.
you didn't fall on your head?
Well, hosted as always here by Bobby Heenan, Gorilla Monsoon. Who's the host? You take the pick. Lots of discussion here this week coming out of WrestleMania 5, but also some discussion of this new character, the Genius.
Astounding.
Kind of has a catchy.
Maybe he finally found his niche in life.
Maybe he just got tired of people making fun of him and talking about him to decide to
He
express
looks
himself.
bigger to me.
Oh, it's the hat.
No, it's not the hat. The upper body, I can tell, is
Oh, it's the
obviously-
beard. It's the beard.
There's no reaching you today, is there?
Not when you manage a
No,
champion.
I guess not. No, it's just wasting my time, right? Wait till you see the big surprise
Hey,
coming.
Funky.
And I mean big
Another match.
surprise coming up very shortly.
What big surprise?
Let's take a look at Tito Santana
Got the Green Bay
right
Packers
now.
coming.
Well, Bobby's starting to dig the new attitude of one Lanny Poffo, much as Jesse Ventura stated on Superstars. Bobby Heenan digging this genius fellow. Gorilla Monsoon, not so much. Nobody liked him, so he decided to turn heel. Was kind of the gist of that one there. As we go off now, we've got a couple more sound bites going to slap them together here, discussing the implosion of Strikeforce, talking a little bit about Tito Santana, and comments from Bobby Heenan in regards to the Intercontinental title change. Rick Rude defeating the Ultimate Warrior.
Tito Santana always looking great.
Lucky win.
The traitor, the Benedict Arnold, had to wander down there and try to create some havoc.
Well, that was a
I
lucky
used to
win.
like him, you know.
Santana?
No,
Yeah, I
Rick
know.
Martel.
Well, like I said,
He pulled the wool over my eyes.
Tito was lucky to win that one. You know why? Surprised Martel didn't help him. He's won all the matches for Santana anyway.
You think so?
I think so. Who won the tag team championship? Martel with the Boston Crab all by himself. Where was Tito? Out on the apron woofing down a jalapeno?
You think so?
Yeah.
Boy, what a warped mind you've got.
Well, you know, he's...
Tito Santana was the backbone of that team, for your information. Why are you concerning yourself with them anyway?
You're right.
You should be worried about ravishing Rick Rude and how you and he both are going to have to justify by rationalizing for you having the title after stealing it.
Well, we've heard that the Ultimate Warrior is beside himself, and a lot of people have told me lately, don't make him mad. He's not the Ultimate Warrior you've seen before. He's twice as dangerous
He's a
as ever.
maniac now.
Yep. You know what I say to that? Tough.
We're going to take a look at just how he did it in a moment. What was the Warrior's shoelace untied? You were merely trying to tie it for him so he didn't.
I'll tell you
trip.
the reason that happened. You're not going to believe what he said to me on the floor. I can't even repeat it to you. So I just reacted. I apologize.
You're going to surrender the title? No, I didn't think so.
Nope.
No. But
You
your
gonna
ribs-
apologize?
Your ribs are still a little sore, aren't
Yes, they're
they?
very sore. My doctor says it'll be anywhere from 3 to 4 years.
That
maybe.
intercostal cartilage plays havoc with you when you do
by
things
the
you're not supposed to do.
Sternum there.
No, the sternum is over here. My
Hurt
friend.
me all over.
Hurt you all over.
Worst injury
You
they've
should
ever
be
seen.
hurt all over.
But I'm not going to. Is he going to apologize to me for what he said?
For what?
For what he said to
stealing
me?
the title from him?
You know what he
No.
said to me? I'll write it. I can't even write that word. I'm not that kind of a person.
No.
So I repaid him the only way I know how.
Yeah. By
Remember,
by
sticks and-
stealing his title from him.
Sticks and stones
You're
will break your
disgusting.
bones, but if you fall backward with Rude, we're the champion.
So Bobby on a roll here this week. We get a lot of discussion of WrestleMania 5, the fallout. Plenty more to come. Also, I should mention this week, the Rosati sisters, or as they refer to them here this week, Rossetti sisters, making their return, bearing gifts, including a Banana Blaster squirt gun and a Weasel Award. And as you might imagine, no doubt, Gorilla Monsoon using that squirt gun to wet the weasel. It's not what it sounds like. But they're not done yet. One final gift, a fish. You heard me right. A full dead fish straight from the supermarket, still under plastic, thank goodness. But the Rosatis giving Heenan a true gift in a dead fish. As Bobby states, oh, I didn't know that was a dead fish. I didn't know which one of you it was, referring to the stench there. Bobby really laying it in on the Rosatis. If you guys have access to the April 10th edition, I encourage you to go check out this particular segment. I believe I posted it on social media as well, the back and forth. Bobby, maybe not the most PC comments, but certainly some comedy for the era. As we continue on, some exclusive matches airing here this week, several exclusive matches, in fact, including from Syracuse, taped April 5th after WrestleMania at the Onondaga War Memorial. The Barbarian again scoring another singles victory, this time over Chuck Williams, the future Rockin' Rebel. Barb getting the win 2 minutes and 26 seconds with that clothesline off the top rope. Couple matches airing here from April 4th in Glens Falls, New York. Duggan Country there at the Civic Center. Tito Santana over Iron Mike Sharp. Rick Martel coming ringside briefly during this one, attempting to distract Santana during the matchup. Didn't really work, but clearly Martel and Tito will be a thing coming out of the pay-per-view. Also, the Brooklyn Brawlers scoring a victory over Terry Daniels with that sidewalk smash, that face buster off the middle rope that looks like complete shit. That's neither here nor there. Finally, we close out the exclusives this week. Tape back March 7th, El Paso, Texas. The Hart Foundation, still together at this point, defeating the Intruder and the Black Knight, getting the heart attack on the Intruder, 4 minutes and 26 seconds. Now, the Black Knight, again, I believe it's Billy Anderson. The Intruder, not really sure. Interesting color scheme did this Intruder have here. But the Hart Foundation going over, scoring a win here on Primetime Wrestling. Now, we've got another week of action to get into, including a big angle involving the future of the Macho Man, Randy Savage here. But before we get to any of that, guys, I invite you to stay tuned as we take this quick WrestleCopia timeout.
Relive the glory days of Memphis wrestling with the Retro Wrestling Review USWA podcast. Each week, we go back in time to review USWA Championship Wrestling from the 1990s, episode by episode. Join us for watch-alongs, behind-the-scenes stories, and exclusive interviews with people who were there and lived it. Whether you grew up watching it or you're discovering it for the first time, this podcast is your ringside seat to Memphis wrestling history. It's all a part of the WrestleCopia Podcast Network. Listen now at USWApodcast.com.
Hey guys, Ray Russell here. Lots of new stuff happening here at WrestleCopia, and I want to update you on everything going on with the brand right now. First and simple, if you haven't checked out our website at WrestleCopia.com, it's a great way to keep up with the latest episodes of all of your favorite Copia programming, from the Wrestling Memory Grenade to Regional Wrestling with the Territory Talk, the Wrestling Stoop with the legendary Bob Roop, Professor Dan Ginnity and the Pro Wrestling Academy, and all the other great podcasts from Gene Jackson, Bob Smith, Dave Dynasty, and the boys from the Other Ship. And of course, all of those programs also available at your favorite podcast streaming platforms. And if you want to stay up to date with everything going on in the Copia world, all the latest news, random thoughts, fun videos, pictures, and more, make sure to join the more than 33,000 followers over at Facebook.com/Wrestling Grenade. Don't be left out. Please also follow us at the former Twitter, now X, at Wrestling Grenade, and subscribe to YouTube.com/Wrestling Grenade. Would also greatly appreciate you leaving us a 5-star review at your favorite podcast apps, guys, because every positive review makes our podcasts more visible in the algorithms, if you will, which allows us to continue to grow. Now, for those who have been asking about merchandise, WrestleCopia merch, you can find plenty of designs for our t-shirts, hats, magnets, stickers, coffee mugs, and more over at the TeePublic store. That is tpublic.com/user/WrestleCopia. And last but definitely not least, it's what keeps the entire machine going. I'm talking about patreon.com/WrestleCopia. Now with 3 major tiers and tons of Patreon exclusive next level content for our supporters. Remember guys, no subscription, cancel any time, but I think you'll like the content that we're offering there for any budget you may have. And you can sign up right now, patreon.com/WrestleCopia. We appreciate your support in helping us pay the bills to keep the WrestleCopia Podcast Network running and enabling us to continue to bring you all the quality programming that we offer.
This is Wrestling Nostalgia, the podcast that dives into wrestling history. Hey, wrestling fans, I'm Dave Dynasty, and if you enjoy podcasts that are knowledgeable and history-driven, then Wrestling Nostalgia is for you. With great guests and fun interviews, there are over 200 episodes in our archives. We chat with several first-time guests and often cover topics not discussed on other podcasts. Look up Wrestling Nostalgia on your favorite podcast platform and visit all of our links at linktree/WrestlePod. That is linktr.ee/RASSLEPOD. And remember, wherever you go, whatever you do, be good, be safe, and keep on growing.
All right, we be back here on the Grenade, heading into another week of TV. Now, the second week of April 15th, WWF Superstars, also taped back March 7th in El Paso Convention Center. Vince McMahon, Jesse Ventura, always here on the call. For the Rockers, Shawn Michaels and Marty Jannetty kicking it off this week, taking on the very competent team. Well, that's arguable. Barry Horowitz and dangerous Danny Davis out here teaming with Barry. We get an insert promo during the Rockers match from the fabulous Rougeau brothers and their manager, Jimmy Hart. They state, "You know what I like about the Rockers? Absolutely nothing." So it looks like we're going to be getting some Rockers and Rougeau's matches in our future, and I can dig that. As we get ready with the action, Horowitz going to the eyes of Shawn Michaels to begin, but missing a blind tag to Marty off the ropes, and the Rockers quickly with a double clothesline on Barry, double press slam. Danny Davis up into the air, launching him on top of Barry Horowitz, and the Rockers clear the ring with stereo drop kicks. Just getting going here. And once the heels regroup, looking for a double backdrop are Danny Davis and Barry H., but Marty dropping them both down to the mat. Horowitz ducking a Jannetty clothesline, but catching one from Michaels on the apron instead, to the crowd's delight, which Tim White sees and allows. All right, interesting officiating if they're going to do it that way this week. Finally, though, Jannetty catching a knee to the back from Danny Davis on the apron, which the referee also sees. Well, at least he's keeping it fair. Vince McMahon stating the referee must be allowing leniency on both sides this week, and Jesse Ventura is okay with that as long as it's even on both sides. And like I said, I absolutely agree with that statement, Jess. If it's a strike for one team, it should be a strike for the other. Meanwhile, in the ring, Jannetty able to make it to his corner, make the hot tag out to partner Shawn Michaels. Michaels in with a backdrop on Horowitz, catching Davis sleeping on the apron, super kicking Danny, standing on the apron straight to the floor. One fluid motion, by the way, backdropping Horowitz straight into a super kick to Danny Davis. Great stuff here from Shawn Michaels before the Rockers, putting Horowitz out with a doomsday device of sorts. Shawn putting Barry up on his shoulders, Marty coming off the top of the cross body block, doomsday style, getting the win here for the Rockers. 3 minutes and 30 seconds. And the instant replay showing us why the Rockers are, in fact, tag team specialists. Woo! So with this lack of success as of late, Danny Davis may have to find himself a new job, you would think, or at the very least, a new job title here in the WWF. Not looking good here this week for Danny D, or Barry Horowitz for that matter, but the Rockers looking great, and Rockers and Rougeau's, sign me up, as once again they promote No Holds Barred, coming June 2, pal. As we go off now to Update, and Mean Gene Okerlund taking us back in time to WrestleMania, ravishing Rick Rude, the brand new Intercontinental Champion. We're going to hear from both men.
Hey, Warrior, look at all this gold. Look at this beautiful gold. And it belongs to the Bobby the Brain Heenan family and ravishing Rick Rude. And there's nothing you can do about it.
That's right. I won the title at WrestleMania V. And I plan to keep it as long as I'm alive.
Laughter is not the key for the disease that you have to contend with, Rick Rude and Bobby the Weasel. The wildness of this Ultimate Warrior is going to eat you alive. There will only be insanity in my life until I take the Intercontinental title back to parts unknown.
All right, so Rick Rude, Bobby Heenan there. Hey, Rude won the title at WrestleMania V and plans to keep it as long as he's alive. Meanwhile, the Warrior Man with some serious bangs, I might add. A lot of teasing this week of the Warrior's hair as he plans to take the Intercontinental title back to parts unknown. Ultimate Warrior, man, not done with Rick Rude or that Intercontinental title, it would seem. That feud continues on. We go back to the ring, continuing on with the action. We've seen the Barbarian now with a couple of matches last week. This week, it's time for the Warlord to shine, or not. Warlord out here with manager Mr. Fuji taking on Mark Ming as we get an insert promo here from Fuji, putting over the Warlord's size and the fact that only Fuji can control the mighty Warlord. You can have him, Fuji. In the ring, it's a flying shoulder tackle, followed by the gut wrench toss. Nice looking back suplex, I'll give him that. And the running power slam, putting Mark Ming down in just 1 minute and 34 seconds. Wow. 90-second match and lots of walking around and stomping on Mark Ming in between those 4 wrestling moves. But it was mercifully short, I'll give him that much. The Warlord going over, not looking nearly as good as the Barbarian, but he does look imposing. And sometimes that's all that matters here in the WWF, as we go now to a Superfly Jimmy Snuka vignette, very quick vignette. It's a stop motion of images featuring the Superfly Splash Jimmy Snuka back in the World Wrestling Federation. We saw that weird reintroduction at WrestleMania V prior to the Dino Bravo-Ronnie Garvin match, but it is indeed a fact. Superfly will be back here gracing us on the WWF TV screens before too long. As the action continues on, the Red Rooster in the ring once again taking on Steve Sharkey as we get yet another insert promo from the Brooklyn Brawler, who states the Red Rooster can't beat me. I guess he wasn't counting the last 60 times they've stepped in the ring, including NBC, where Terry beat him in 60 seconds. But, man, of all the feuds that continue past WrestleMania V, this has to be one of them. Meanwhile, in the ring here, Taylor looking sharp early on. Now, Sharkey with a few shots in the corner on the Red Rooster, but Terry gonna cluck up, taking over control, another armbar takedown, setting up that elevated chicken wing, gonna get the submission win. 2 minutes and 8 seconds, and Terry Taylor gonna strut his stuff post-match. So over is the Red Rooster character, Vince doesn't even bother to give it an instant replay. Instead, we continue on with the action featuring Mr. Perfect, still in trunks here, taped pre-WrestleMania, taking on Jim Evans. So we get an insert promo now from the Hitman, Bret Hart again, who asks the question, what happens when the excellence of execution invades the perfect world? Your perfect world, Kurt Hennig. Well, I can't wait to find out the answer to that one. Early on in the ring here, Hennig out wrestling, slapping Jim Evans around, which leads to Jim making a little comeback here with the reverse Irish whip in the corner. Big scoop slam and a drop kick takes Hennig down, but Evans going to run into that axe, that running forearm, right in the fucking face. Holy shit. I don't know how Hennig didn't break Evans' nose here, but it puts him into la-la land long enough for Hennig to set up the perfect plex, gets the win. 1 minute and 51 seconds, and for every Dino Bravo and Hercules, every Andre and John Studd, we're getting Rockers and Rougeaus, Mr. Perfect and Bret Hart. I'm digging a lot of these house show matches coming out of WrestleMania V. Speaking of, we're going to hear about more of those right now as we go off to the event center. Sean Mooney standing by with the former NWA World Heavyweight Champion, talking about rugged Ronnie Garvin. We're also going to hear from the current Women's Champion here at the WWF, Rockin' Robin. And I promise she's not going to sing.
Hello, everyone. I'm Sean Mooney. The most gifted athletes in the entire world are right here in the ranks of the World Wrestling Federation. But it is not easy. Every day they must train and condition to stay in top physical condition. And then they step into the ring to face a tough challenge. But you can ask one man who believes it is all worth it. He's standing by right now. He's rugged Ronnie Garvin.
You know, in the world of professional wrestling, it's always good to have the support of the fans. Well, I've got a lot of fans behind me, and I like to take this opportunity to say thank you for all the fan mail. But I'm going to tell you, you see, in the world of professional wrestling, the Ronnie Garvin fan knows this. I like to fight. I'm not just another pretty face off the street. I don't make a living being pretty. I make a living being good, being tough, and fighting for my money, earning it the old-fashioned way. And you get guys like Greg Valentine, Mr. Perfect, the Powers of Pain. It goes on. The list goes on and on. It's not easy, and that's the way Ronnie Garvin likes it. I like it rugged. I got a lifestyle that's rugged. I like to climb mountains and swim deep rivers, and that's my lifestyle, and when I walk that aisle, I do my best.
Well, comments from rugged Ronnie Garvin. He has certainly proven himself to be one tough individual here in the World Wrestling Federation, and right now standing by is another tough individual, but I'm talking about the World Wrestling Federation Women's Champion. She's Rockin' Robin.
Woo! Whew, you know, for the last 6 months, I've been the WWF Women's Champion. And I gotta tell you, it's been nothing short of a magic carpet ride. Going to different cities, meeting all you nice people out there. But one thing that really bothers me, and that is Judy Martin. She's worked her way right back up to the #1 contender spot. Judy, I know you're tough. I mean, I've met you. We were at the Royal Rumble, and I was very lucky, I feel, to have gotten that victory on you. Well, let me tell you, I plan on keeping this little baby around my waist for a long, long time, and I'm going to make you people out there proud that I am your champion, and I plan to stay your champion as long as you're behind me.
Well, comments from the World Wrestling Federation Women's Champion, Rockin' Robin. She captured the title over in Europe with a victory over Sensational Sherri. She also had a stern warning for Judy Martin that she has no intention of giving up the Women's Championship.
All right, well, kind of a generic promo there from Ronnie Garvin coming out of WrestleMania, the loss to Dino Bravo, but he plays it straight and he gives it his all every time. 100% coming at you as rugged Ronnie Garvin, and that's just enough for the entire locker room to be put on warning. Meanwhile, Rockin' Robin talking about Judy Martin climbing the ranks again after her loss at the Royal Rumble. Robin ready for her? And I can't believe they gave her a microphone so close to that debacle at WrestleMania. And I just a little bit there. She did her best. We talked about it at length already, but Robin actually replied to us on social media recently, and she was a real trooper about the entire thing. One of the fans of Rockin' Robin replied that they thought she did a beautiful job at WrestleMania, and Robin responded there on my Facebook that particular fan and her mother were probably the only two people that would agree with that statement, that Robin knocked it out of the park. But I want to thank her for responding and just being a good sport about the whole thing. As we continue on, it's Jake the Snake Roberts in the ring taking on Dusty Wolf. Now, during this matchup, we get an insert promo, no shocker here, from Ted DiBiase, who refers to Jake as cunning, devious, but he's not very smart. Jake embarrassed the $1 Million Man at WrestleMania, and he will pay. And I'm still scratching my head trying to figure out why DiBiase came out there and attempted to steal Damien, other than the entire Insta-feud thought process anyway. And Dusty Wolf laying in a few shots, getting cute early on. Jake threatening his jabs as Dusty runs off, hides in the ropes. Robert's going to take over, though, with some arm work. Dusty with another cheap shot across the jaw of Jake Roberts during a rope break. Jake going to break clean. Dusty, not so much. Wolf going to step out onto the apron to hide from the Snake Man, but Jake simply going to clothesline Dusty off the apron. Great bump out to the floor, but the Snake Man not waiting for Dusty to get back inside, tossing him back into the ring, delivering that patented DDT, going to get the win, 2 minutes and 32 seconds. And Damien coming out of the bag post-match. Dusty, the poor victim here, as Hebner goes flying out of the ring, running away from the Snake. Poor Dusty, not so lucky, getting a little Damien in his life. Jake Roberts right back on top, looking for the $1 Million Man. As we go off to this week's edition, very special edition of the Brother Love Show, featuring the now former WWF champion, the Macho Man, Randy Savage. And remember, this episode of Superstars was taped back March the 7th, but this segment was actually taped April 4th in Glens Falls, New York, so as not to expose the major story before WrestleMania at any of the TV tapings. Very wise move there by Vince. And it's a new look here for the Macho Man coming out of the pay-per-view, more of a stylish sleeveless top with tassels hanging down, rather than that typical cape we've been accustomed to. Brother Love introducing the Macho Man, who says Hulk Hogan never beat me, and he never will. Savage once again blaming the lovely Elizabeth for distracting him multiple times during the matchup. Says he didn't see it before, but he does now. It was all a conspiracy. Savage is through with Liz, but he's not done with the Hulkster. Not by any stretch of the imagination. Randy then going to introduce us to his brand new manager, who is more loyal and isn't controlled by lust like Liz. His new manager is more gorgeous than Elizabeth ever could be. A manager that is unbelievably sensational. You mean? Oh yeah, it is indeed the Sensational Sherri. Brother Love welcoming Sister Sensational to the interview area here. Sherri, now the new manager of the Macho Man, it would appear. Sherri stating she's more woman than Liz could ever dream to be. as she does a little turn here, showing off her assets, telling Liz to eat your heart out. Vince McMahon appalled on commentary. How dare her compare herself to Elizabeth? That makes me sick, Jess. And the pomp and circumstance theme begins to play out the new unit of the Macho Man and his new manager, the Sensational Sherri, who raised each other's hands in some form of a victory here, a moral victory perhaps. And it begins. It only makes sense to keep Randy Savage with a female manager, but now a heel, keeping Elizabeth babyface. I think that's a wise move. So instead, giving Sherri her opportunity at rising to the top in a managerial role. And as we know, she will hit this one completely out of the park. Now, it's going to take a bit for Sherri to find herself here in this character, but she's already well on her way. Looking forward to seeing what the Sensational One does with the Macho Man here on the Grenade moving forward. It's going to be a fun next 2 years here in the WWF. As we continue on back to the ring, Luke and Butch, the Bushwhackers, taking on Lou Fabiano and Tom Stone as the Whackers whack their way into the ring. Vince and Jesse sort out which one's Butch and which one is Luke. Jesse also figuring out why they march the way they do with those arms in the air. Something about not using deodorant under their arms, something like that. Vince says they're almost Aborigines. Almost. We get an insert promo here from the Whackers. Lots of whoa and yay, mate. Bushwhackers, of course, coming for the Brainbusters. Luke delivering a sit-out clothesline and a flying back elbow during this matchup. All right, Luke. While Butch, next to nothing here on the offense from Butch this week. He's figured it out pretty quick. As the battering ram and double gutbuster get the win here on Fabiano. Match goes 2 minutes and 45 seconds. And right now, guys, we see the Macho Man with his brand new manager, the lovely Elizabeth. We also talked last week about the brand new gimmick for Lanny Poffo, talking about the genius. And this week, he has another poem for us all.
Behold, the world's smartest man, so masculine and proud, the epitome of genius, amazingly endowed. A one-man wrestling renaissance, just let your heart rejoice and bathe in all the luxury of my poetic voice. The best of my competitors are so inferior, I far outthink their greatest thoughts with my posterior. And when the bell has sounded on my stunning victory, I'll view that messy spot where my opponent used to be. The aristocratic pleasure of inflicting so much pain gives rise to so much passion, it is bordered on insane. Although my verse may seem perverse to every foe and fan, I'm still the genius Lanny Poffo, the world's smartest man.
Behold, the world's smartest man, so masculine and proud, the epitome of genius, amazingly endowed. Keep 'em coming, Lanny. My goodness, amazingly endowed. Now, we've heard stories, so I can't believe this actually made air, but there it is. The Genius Poem number 2, and more to come in weeks to come. Stay tuned on the next episode of The Grenade. I'm loving me some genius as we go back to the ring right now. King Haku out here with manager Bobby Heenan taking on Louis Spicolli, the future Rad Radford. Bobby Heenan asking the fans to rise and show respect, bow before the king. Of course, they do not oblige. We also get an insert promo here from Hacksaw Jim Duggan, who states that I knocked out Andre, I took down Dino Bravo, and now he's going to do it to the king. Tough guy. Hacksaw answering the challenge of Haku we heard last week in an insert promo. Meanwhile, in the ring here, Louis Spicolli charging into a Haku knee in the corner, and the king from there going to lay in some chops before the thrust kick to the face. Does it every time. Gets the win here for King Haku in a mere 1 minute and 28 seconds. As we learn next week here on Superstars, we're going to see the likes of Big John Studd, the new and improved Rick Martel. The Twin Towers going to be here alongside Hacksaw Jim Duggan, new Intercontinental Champion Ravishing Rick Rude, the Hitman Bret Hart going back to solo action, and feature match right here next week. Going to pit rugged Ronnie Garvin versus Greg the Hammer Valentine. So that's going to get up and going. Plus, if all that wasn't enough, Brother Love's special guest, Brutus the Barber Beefcake. And I smell Angle Alert coming, so stay tuned for that edition of Superstars as we roll on to April 16th Wrestling Challenge. Tape back March the 8th in Odessa County Coliseum. Bobby and Gorilla here still on commentary. To the ring, we get the Twin Towers with manager Slick taking on Stefan De Leon and Scott Casey as we get an insert promo here from Axe and Smash Demolition welcoming the challenge of the Twin Towers. They hope the ring can stay up when they slam them to the mat. Meanwhile, in this particular matchup, Scott Casey, no success for the big guys. So he's going to give the match to De Leon, give Stefan a opportunity here as the boss man in with a nice power slam. Akeem elbow drop. Nice combo there for the Twin Towers. They can move for some big boys. And they sandwich stomach belly to belly on De Leon here, smashing him in between the two big Twin Towers, center ring. And Akeem going to do a little dancing before we get an awesome spike boss man slam, setting up Air Africa, the big 747 splash. Going to get the win for the Twin Towers, 2 minutes and 58 seconds. And post-match, poor De Leon not only taking the job, but handcuffed and beaten with the nightstick as well. Meanwhile, Scott Casey merely terminated from the company. So long to the cowboy. This week's special report with Lord Alfred Hayes going back to the Brother Love show on Superstars. Very big angle there is Sensational Sherri joining the Macho Man. Then it's back to the ring here on Wrestling Challenge. The Blue Blazers stepping in the ring with former referee and perhaps a referee once again, talking about Dangerous Danny Davis. Davis going to land the first blow, but it's the Blazer who outquicks Dangerous Danny to take control. Owen with a nice reverse monkey flip, but he's going to miss a drop kick. And that puts the former referee back on top here. But the Blazer retaliating with that Owen Hart-style belly-to-belly and a standing drop kick before delivering a beautiful high cross-body block. Beautiful flying cross-body. Gets Owen Hart the win. The Blue Blazer going over 1 minute and 48 seconds. Victory here on TV as we get a replay of Genius Vignette number 2 on Challenge. It's back to the ring for Bad News Brown battling Randy Neverman, who hails from Rocky River, Ohio. And I have to imagine he actually does because that's such a random city. Not very far from me, but it really stuck out to me. What an odd choice of hometown, Rocky River. Great metro parks, though. As we get an insert promo during the beatdown, it's Bad News Brown calling out all these spineless cockroaches of the WWF. We'll have to wait and see who answers there. Brown going to jump Neverman here, and these guys, these poor job guys, never learn. As Bad News going to drop him across the top rope, but the momentum carries Neverman out to the floor. Looked inadvertent there, getting dropped on the top rope and kind of bouncing outside. Back in the ring, though, the beatdown continues. Nasty left arm clothesline, setting up the Ghetto Blaster, and the foot on the chest gets another win for Bad News Brown, 2 minutes, 45 seconds. I fear for the beer-bellied sharecropper who accepts the challenge of Bad News Brown moving forward here in the WWF as Stridex Great Wipeouts presents King Haku. There was never more of a great wipeout than that thrust kick to the face delivered by the King. Before we go back to the ring for more action, going to see the mighty Hercules take on the Invader here, the Masked Invader. We get an insert promo from Dino Bravo. Dear God, no. Dino wants us all to know that he is the strongest man here in the WWF. Bravo encouraging Hercules to answer his challenge and feel the power of the Canadian strongman. Gorilla Monsoon stating that I would buy a ticket, main event anywhere in the country. So says you, Gorilla. The announcers, though, going to trash the Invader's ability here. This guy is all over the ring, has no idea necessarily what he's doing. As Bobby thinks the Invader's strategy is to not have a strategy. Hercules going to dominate this one. Total power lift here at the end. Dead weight torture rack. One arm just lifting the Invader up over his shoulders. Massive strength of the Mighty One getting the submission win. 2 minutes and 48 seconds. And apparently Dino Bravo on the Hercules horizon. As we go off to one final event center this week, Sean Mooney, who standing by with Barbarian, manager Mr. Fuji, as well as the Hammer, Greg Valentine, and his manager, Jimmy Hart.
And welcome back. Without a doubt, one of the most awesome forces in tag team action here in the World Wrestling Federation are the Powers of Pain, the Warlord and the Barbarian. They seem to relish in dishing out pain and punishment, and that seems to be a result of their manager, Mr. Fuji. Right now, the Devious One is standing by along with the Barbarian.
Ha ha ha! You people there watching, this is the Barbarian, and I, Master Fuji, is his teacher. I am the master of the martial art, and I teach him all about the martial art. I am the master making people suffer, and he will do it to me, to you. And for the master will be very happy when the people like you be screaming.
That's right, master. When you hit the cane on my head, it made me stronger. It made me crazy as a wire. So, let me tell you something, people out there. When the master is behind me, there will be nobody who will stand and face the Barbarian.
Very true. The Barbarian will do his mission to make you hurt.
Well, comments from the very devious Mr. Fuji and the Barbarian, and one has to wonder just what those two do for fun. I know there's one man here in the World Wrestling Federation that takes great pleasure in dropping the hammer and using the figure 4 leg lock. He's Greg the Hammer Valentine.
You know the Hammer's on the road to the goal, baby. This is your year, Hammer. Bring them all on. I don't care if it's the Ultimate Warrior. I don't care if it's Rocket Ronnie Garvin. Bring them all on.
Well, we had to deal with the Hart Foundation, and we've had to deal with a lot of tough obstacles in the past, Jimmy Mouth of the South Hart. But I'll tell you what. The road to the gold is what I'm after. I have held the Intercontinental Championship belt. I have held one half of the World Tag Team Championship belts, but one belt has eluded me, and that is the World Championship belt. And I'll tell you what, you know something? My sights are on that World Championship belt. My sights are on the Ultimate Warrior. My sights are even on a Tag Team Championship. It's to the top, baby, to the top.
Well, Jimmy Mouth of the South Hart joining his man Greg the Hammer Valentine, and one thing you cannot question is his determination to capture a World Wrestling Federation Championship title, in one in particular, the World Wrestling Federation Championship. If that were the case, he would be facing one tough champion and the new World Wrestling Federation champion, Hulk Hogan. We'll be back.
Well, as we already mentioned, the Barbarian's going to be having some upcoming matches with Jim Neidhart, but he's rolling solo right now. We'll see how that pans out here in '89. Also, Greg the Hammer Valentine, we talked about next week, a big matchup coming with Ronnie Garvin. We'll see what happens there in the weeks and months to come with the Hammer. Speaking of Jimmy Hart, we've got a couple of his men in the ring here for the next bout. The fabulous Rougeau brothers, Jacques and Raymond, accompanied by Jimmy, go figure, taking on White Lightning, Tim Horner, and Jeff Gaylord. That's the Jeff Gaylord, by the way. We get an insert promo from the Rockers, who are masters of motion and want us to know that they are, in fact, tag team specialists. Woo! Meanwhile, in the ring, Jacques Rougeau going to backflip over a Tim Horner backdrop attempt, and Jacques so proud of himself extending his hand to Tim, but Horner, however, going to retaliate with the same spot, backflipping over a Jacques Rougeau backdrop attempt and landing a dropkick on Jacques. And one for Raymond as well, Raymond running in, eating a dropkick from Horner before the Rougeaus going to console one another with a fabulous hug in their corner. In tags Jeff Gaylord, former USFL player and pro wrestler in the territory system. Jeff working in the UWF, Memphis, Dallas, and all-around scumbag, both in the business and outside. Former bank robber, amongst other things. As Jacques Rougeau winds up pulling the ropes down as Gaylord hitting the ropes, falling over the top, out to the floor. The Rougeaus now in control. Jacques with a flying back elbow to take Gaylord down to the mat. Raymond in with a nice drop kick to the face of Gaylord. From there, we get a little teamwork, baby, from the fabulous Rougeau, setting up Jacques to ask the question to the fans, should we beat him now? Total asshole heels here are the Rougeaus, especially Jacques. You got to love it. You got to appreciate it. What an ass. Should we beat him now? They put him away. Rougeau bomb on Jeff Gaylord gets the Rougeaus the win, 3 minutes and 25 seconds. As we get a replay of the Superfly Snuka vignette, we go back now to Mean Gene Okerlund up on the stage. Special interview time with Big John Studd. Well, Gene states that John Studd is looking better than ever. John says he left the WWF and got healthy. Literally says that line with a straight face. Boy, if that's healthy, yeesh. The fans gave him the confidence and strength to leave the Heenan family and win the Royal Rumble. John Studd says he's the true giant of professional wrestling. And you, Andre, will learn that. 380 pounds, 6'10", coming straight for Andre the Giant. Well, at least the interview was quick, getting over the upcoming house show feud between Big John Studd and Andre. I'm not so sure that a 6'10" guy telling a 7'4" guy that he's the true giant is the most babyface of things. Even worse, Gorilla and Bobby both, or maybe it was Jesse and Vince, but one of the commentary teams in the last week or so here, I wish I had wrote it down in my notes, had mentioned that John Studd was more around 6'7", so I'm sure that really didn't help his cause either. But John Studd, 6'10". Well, if Andre's 7'4", I guess Studd could be 6'10" here. But those matches, they're happening. On the C shows, no less. Can't wait to see what those attendance figures look like moving forward into the spring of '89. Right now, we saw the Warlord on Superstars. We get the Barbarian here on Wrestling Challenge. Mr. Fuji in his corner. Barb's opponent this week, Omar Atlas. And again, we get an insert promo from the Anvil, Jim Neidhart. Says Barbarian takes advice from Mr. Fuji, but the Anvil is too crazy to be controlled. He does his own thing. So I guess we're forgetting about those 3 years with Jimmy Hart there, eh, Jim? And that cup of coffee with Mr. Fuji back in 1984. Meanwhile, here in 1989, it's the Barbarian with a flying shoulder tackle, big nasty boot, and that clothesline off the top rope going to put Omar down 1 minute and 51 seconds. Well, the heel turn and subsequent run versus Demolition did absolutely nothing to get the Powers of Pain over, so I like the idea of seeing what they can get out of the Warlord and Barbarian as singles. I was hoping for big things for Barbarian here in 1989, but, well, we'll just wait and see. No Holds Barred, did I mention, coming June the 2nd. That's June 2, pal. So be on the lookout for that at a movie theater near you. Going to close out Challenge this week the same way we opened Superstars this week. On the Grenade, talking about Tito Santana stepping in the ring, this time taking on Tom Stone, as we get an insert promo here from Rick Martel, who states, "I carried that loser, Tito. How does it feel now that Rick Martel isn't there to do all your work, Santana, to do everything for you? No matter how bad that feels, it's going to feel a whole lot worse when Rick Martel gets his hands on you." Gotta love that promo there from Martel, who is now an awesome heel, coming after former partner Tito Santana. Speaking of Tito, we get a shot of a little Hispanic fan ringside who is sporting a Tito Santana t-shirt. Very cool. Gorilla Monsoon pondering that maybe one day that little fellow might grow up to follow in Tito's footsteps in the ring. Boy, wouldn't that be cool? Bobby, though, responding, well, follow in the footsteps of Tito, or he might just steal your hubcaps. Oh my, Bobby Heenan on a roll this week, also stating that he initially thought the lightning bolts on Tito's gear were barbed wire marks from sliding under the border fence. Bobby also letting us know that arriba means swim faster, the Coast Guard's behind us. It does not. Stop. Will you stop? So Bobby Heenan really on a roll this week. Any one of those jokes would get you canceled today, but Bobby gets 3 of them out in a matter of a 3-minute Santana squash. It is headlock-o-rama in the ring. Tom Stone surprising Tito, dropping him throat first across the top rope. And Stone going to go up top. Going to the top rope is Tom Stone, but he leaps right down at a big right hand from Santana, setting up the flying forearm. Going to give Tito the win, 3 minutes and 4 seconds. Arriba! It does not. Will you stop, Brain? Unbelievable. Next week here on Wrestling Challenge, the $1 Million Man, Ted DiBiase, stepping in the ring, as well as the greatest Intercontinental Champion of all time, Honky Tonk Man, going back to singles competition. We'll also see the Rockers, the former Intercontinental Champion, the Ultimate Warrior. The Bushwhackers will be here alongside Jim the Anvil Neidhart going into singles competition, and the Brooklyn Brawler going to round out next week here on Wrestling Challenge, as we've got one more piece of business here this week. Quickly going to talk about the April 17th edition of Primetime Wrestling, hosted by Gorilla Monsoon, Bobby the Brain Heenan. Exclusive matches here this week. First taped April 5th, post-WrestleMania. The return of Hillbilly Jim defeating Boris Zukov. Match goes 5 minutes. Big Jim with a boot. Big boot to the face of Boris, taking the Russian down. Hillbilly going over. And the highlight of this match, Hillbilly Jim square dancing ringside with announcer Mike McGurk. Yes, Hillbilly Jim is back, and Honky Tonk Man is cowering somewhere in the locker room. Also exclusive here for Primetime, tape back March the 8th in Odessa. The Warlord going singles prior to WrestleMania taping. Warlord picking up the victory over Ricky Ataki in just 2 minutes flat with that running power slam. Now, in between this week on the commentary in the Primetime studio, lots of no holds barred hard selling here for June the 2nd, and it's only April. Sigh. Gonna get a lot more of that, no doubt about it. No holds barred is a-coming. Hulk Hogan, Zeus, and everything in between there. And yes, we will have to discuss it here on the Grenade when we get there. We also learned that, I believe they say next week right here on the program, it'll mark the 3rd year anniversary of Gorilla Monsoon and Bobby Heenan together as a team on Primetime Wrestling. I think they're off by a week or two, but tomato, tomato. It is the 3rd anniversary upcoming here on Primetime. Can't wait to see what they have in store for one another, as I can only hope for many years ahead. But for this week, we wrap things up. Lots of great stuff happening here. Tons of new house show feuds for you to sink your teeth into, no matter whether you're attending the A, B, or even the C shows. Yes, unfortunately, the C shows will have Andre and Stud, but it'll also feature the Rockers and the Rougeaus. You win some, you lose some, guys. And if they're smart, they're putting the Rockers, Rougeaus out, putting them on last. But that's going to wrap it up here this week. I do apologize for the slight delay in the Grenade drop this week. Unfortunately, between doctor's appointments and my second oldest son celebrating his 18th birthday this week, once again, happy birthday, is in order. We fell a little behind, but we've still got tons of great content recorded here this week as part of the WrestleCopia World Check out the Patreon, guys, the All Access tier. Tons of great stuff there at All Access. From the digital downloads to all the early access shows. Regional Wrestling's been dropping a week early, 7 days early on the Patreon as part of All Access tier. Plus the VIP tier, we're starting to pump out the Coliseum video casts again. Dan Gennety's back with the Pro Wrestling Academy. Recently just dropped a special IWE episode, 1970s, early 80s Japan, with a lot of rare gaijin foreign talent touring the country of Japan, from the Mongolian Stomper to Jake Roberts in face paint. You'll have to check that one out. And a new Monday Warfare dropped this week as well at the VIP tier. A very important episode, a very important week of the Monday Night War, going back to November 20th, 1995. The very first encounter of Hulk Hogan versus Sting over on Nitro, and over on Raw, the very famous I'm Back promo from Big Daddy Cool Diesel coming out of Survivor Series, and the epic Shawn Michaels collapse angle coming out of a matchup between HBK and Owen Hart. Really great conversation there with special guests. You heard him here last week on the program. Steve Eckstead joined me for that edition of Monday Warfare. We had a great time going back and talking our memories. You guys can get all of that at the VIP tier, and a new Regional Wrestling Presents coming to the VIP tier as well. Second episode of the St. Louis Wrestling Project. Phil Adams joining me once again to talk about Tom Pax taking over, promoting the territory in those roaring 20s all the way through the late 1940s. And we know Lou Thez is going to get involved. Sam Muchnick will be in there. So lots to discuss there this week on Regional Wrestling Presents. Coming to the VIP tier, and last but certainly not least, the Ultimate tier. Jamie Ward joins me once again. Just dropped 2 new episodes of Regional Wrestling Unreeled as we continue to tell the story of Southwest Wrestling on the USA Network. Now in the month of April 1983, also covering Mid-South Wrestling for 1982, closing out the month of March of 82. Great angle there as Bob Roop has seemingly turned on his good buddy Paul Orndorff in that feud versus Ted DiBiase and the North American title. Lots of great stuff to check out there. More big ones coming very shortly as well at the Ultimate tier. Lots of great stuff coming ahead. New Coliseum cast Pick'em Time poll is up right now on the Patreon. I encourage the patrons to go vote. Give it a try, guys. You can cancel anytime. Subscribe to your tier of choice. We've got an affordable tier for everyone out there, depending on what you crave. I could certainly use your help covering some costs, upgrading some software, upgrading some hardware, and growing the size of that Dropbox account, also available at the Ultimate tier, I should mention. You guys can get roughly 3 terabytes right now of old school footage on that Dropbox. Go check it out. Again, patreon.com/WrestleCopia. But for right now, we're going to wrap things up. Be back next time with 2 more weeks of WWF TV. Already going to be closing out the month of April. Man, this is moving fast, guys. Almost too fast for me. But I'm looking forward to that. And of course, we're going to jump into the month of May. More news and results and everything going on at the house shows. It's going to be a fun ride through the spring and into the summer of 1989 here in the World Wrestling Federation. But until next time, this is Ray Russell saying from pillar to post and coast to coast. You pull the pin, I'll pick up the pieces right here on the Wrestling Memory Grenade. I'll see you next week. Don't miss it. Be there.
I am the genius, Lanny Poffo. That means an awful lot. Not only can I prove I am, but you can't prove I'm not. I remind the competition and every wrestling fan, behold, the genius Lanny Poffo, the world's smartest man.